welcome back. This is a video with the recap of some of the books I read kind of end of May, first couple days of June. So welcome, have fun. So last video I mentioned that I cannot for the life of me find good young adult books anymore. They're all just so trite and boring, but I found one that I really loved called Patron, Saints of Nothing. And this follows our protagonist as he goes to the Philippines to find out more about the death of his cousin who was killed in President Duterte's war on drugs. And I did not know a lot about the current situation in the Philippines, and I didn't understand a lot of this, so I felt like it was a very good introduction into those topics. It also was very heartfelt and compelling, and I think it was excellent, especially for a young adult novel. Some of the ending, I felt like the point of the book was really hammered into you. You got, this is the point of the book, in case you didn't realize it. This is the point of the book. But I think that that was okay based on the audience it was aimed towards. And I felt like the conclusions the book came to were meaningful and useful. So, excellent book. I gave it 5 stars. I do recommend this one a lot. I read the book The Beauty in Breaking by Michelle Harper, and this is a memoir about her years as an emergency room doctor. So in that aspect, it's a great read. You kind of get the medical drama side of things. There is a little bit of heaviness with, talk of societal problems and death and illness, because it is a hospital drama, but it is fun. It is kind of fun to read. It's interesting. It's like watching a medical drama, of course. Now, as a memoir, this book just did not ring true to me. It just felt off. It was a little inauthentic. She talks about things like abuse and divorce and her personal problems, but I feel like she never scratches the surface of her own feelings. She might talk about forgiveness and acceptance, but I don't see any struggle that she had to overcome to reach that. It just didn't really go into depth on her emotions on that. So I enjoyed the book. I felt a little off about some of it, but the medical stuff was really interesting. So I'll give this about 3 stars. Definitely read it if you're into medical dramas, but as a memoir, nah. So I just finished You Deserve Eachother by Sarah Hogel, and this was a really fun antidote to all those really heavy books that I've been reading lately. It was a lightweight rom-com type book. We've got our protagonist, Naomi, as she realizes she's not in love with her fiance and she wants to break up, but she doesn't want to be the one who does it, so she's gonna drive him away. But he seems to have the same idea, so you get these back and forth pranks against each other, trying to push the other away, and then the eventual realizing that they actually have been in love the whole time, and they just had to do simple things like tell each other they loved each other and get each other flowers every once in a while. It was all corny and stupid, but I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. I mean, if you want a garbage fluff read, this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I really can't give it more than 3 stars because it's stupid. It is inane, but I did appreciate that this book was not trying to be anything that it was not. It didn't delve into some deep childhood trauma that made her be this way and not be able to make connections in a normal way. It didn't try to do any of that. Instead, it was just, yeah, I don't like this guy. And then, it wasn't deep and it wasn't supposed to be. So I enjoyed it. It was a fun fluff book. Sort of recommend, sort of don't. If you want a good book to read, don't read this one. But if you, like me, have read a lot of really difficult, horrible reads lately and need something that is the reading equivalent of cotton candy, this one is great. So I just finished the book Catch and Kill: Lies, Spies, and a Conspiracy to Protect Predators by Ronan Farrow. And wow, that was a ride. 5 stars. Everyone should read this. It follows Ronan Farrow and his reporting on the Harvey Weinstein case. And oh wow, the conspiracies that go into protecting these high-profile predators, it's just eye-opening. There is a lot of talk of sexual violence, but the focus really is on how these big corporations will shut down these stories and pay off these women and hide these horrible allegations to protect these scumbag men. And I thought it was, really essential reading. It's an excellent book, very informative, and not only does he follow the Weinstein case, he later talks about Donald Trump and Matt Lauer and some of the other high-profile men who have given hush money to different women for different allegations, and how it was shocking. So he worked for NBC, and NBC was doing everything they could to kill this story. And that is what the title refers to as catch and kill, this practice of finding a big story and killing it before it can be aired in order to protect these high-profile people. And wow, it's very interesting. I mean, some of it is just very much a conspiracy theory. You get Israeli spies and all sorts of different things going on. So, I mean, the book is a good read. It keeps you moving. You want to make sure that everything works out and you need to know what happens. But it's all a true story and told very well. I have a quote from there that Ronan Farrow says. He said, "Ultimately, the reason Harvey Weinstein followed the route he did is because he was allowed to. And that's our fault. As a culture, that's our fault." And just, very eye-opening on how we give these men who behave badly a pass because we think, oh, that's just what the culture is. That's what it's like in Hollywood, or that's what it's like here. And that is not acceptable. And anyways, excellent book, 5 stars. Definitely recommend this one. Also, how ridiculous is it that all this stuff with Harvey Weinstein was such an open secret? It wasn't like these secret allegations that one person made and were hushed up. No, everybody knew that he had a pattern of abusing women and of being a predator. And wow, I mean, it just makes you think, what would you do in those kinds of situations where your career is on the line, but you can see patterns of abuse coming up? So anyways, there are so many aspects to this book. Highly recommend. So I read Dear Mr. Knightley by Catherine Ray, and this follows our protagonist Samantha as she is trying to get out of her dark years of being in the foster care system by accepting a scholarship. The conditions of the scholarship require her to write letters to a mysterious benefactor named Mr. Knightley. And kind of a cute premise. I've heard it's a retelling of Daddy Longlegs, which I've never seen, so maybe if you really love that, this might be an interesting read. I did not like this. Execution-wise, it just did not work for me. I think it was a cute premise, but the main character had no real depth to her and was honestly like a self-insert character. There was no real perspective that she had. Her whole gimmick was that she quoted book quotes and wanted to live in her characters, but that didn't seem convincing to me. Also, the supporting characters seemed only there to move forward her plot. They were plot devices. They weren't fully developed characters. It just fell very flat for me. A bookish, youngish reader would really enjoy this. So if you have a book-obsessed junior high student, they'd probably really enjoy this, but I feel like as an adult looking at it, it seems very shallow and superficial. Well, thanks for coming along with me. And if you have any book recommendations, I would absolutely love to hear about it. Thanks again to Sydney for being such a wonderful help. You're just the best. And I'll see you next time.